Welcome to Integrity Linguistics Institute.
So let's take today's agenda. What are we going to discuss in today's session? So in today's session, we are going to be discussing OET Listening Part C, right? Now, Part C, it can be an interview, it can be a presentation. Presentation means what? You will be listening to just one person speaking. It is a medical expert will be talking on one particular topic. If it is an interview, then there will be two people, an interviewer and interviewee. So when it comes to listening part C, as I told you, there is one main speaker here. Okay, even if it is an interview or if it's a presentation, there's a main speaker, and most of the questions in listening part C is going to be related to the opinions of the speaker, the recommendations of the speaker, the suggestions of the speaker, the belief system of the speaker, right? The reasons, that is why they did something, why they are saying something, okay, their motivation, their reasons, and also the key message, the main ideas that they're trying to say. So one of the most common types of questions are these three questions. Like two of the most common type questions are reason-based questions, reason or basically motivation. Now let me ask you, why are you all attending my session today? Because you are all motivated to achieve OET success, right? So what is the motivation here? OET, the motivation is OET success. So that is the reason why you're attending my sessions right now. So similarly, when it comes to the speaker over there, the speaker will do something, the speaker will say something, and there is always a reason for their action or words. So what motivates them? Okay, so those type of questions are what we call as reason or motivation based questions. And then we will discuss one main point. Okay, that is what is according to the perspective of the speaker, what is one main point that they are trying to express over here. Okay, so I have made a small introduction document over here. So let's first of all understand what are reason or motivation type questions. What are these questions asking you, right? So these questions are asking you why the speaker did something or what caused their interest in that one particular topic, opinion or decision. Okay, so here the keyword over here is reason. See, why are you all attending the session? Why? Because you want OET success. So that is the reason why you are over here. So similarly, the speaker will do an action over here. But these questions are asking you, okay, they did an action, but what was the reason for their action over here? Okay, and what caused their interest? So they may have developed an interest. So all of you are interested in OET sessions, right? So what caused that interest? Okay, so similarly, this is how you have to think. And these questions are asking you why the speaker did something and what was the incident that developed their interest, opinion, or decision. So what should you listen to? So when you're listening to the audio, you have to train yourself that I'm listening to a reason, a cause, or a trigger event. Okay, an event that triggered their interest, right? A cause or a reason for their action. Now, let me show you some example questions. Now, see over here. Why did the doctor decide to research this topic? So what is the action over here? There is one doctor and this doctor researched on one particular topic. Now, what is the question asking you? Why did the doctor decide to take this as his research topic? What was the motivating factor? What was the reason? For which reason did the doctor take this decision? So when you're listening to the audio, you must tell to yourself, okay, here I have to listen to the reason for this decision. Now let's take another example question. What made the nurse change her approach? So she is treating one patient. Suddenly she is changing her treatment approach. So there must be a reason. There must be a reason why she changed it. So what made the reason change? So here also it is why. Why the nurse changes is the reason over here. So you have to listen to that. Another example question, Mr. Gardiner, okay, so the name of a person, first became interested in staff-patient communication after. Okay, now see over here, there is one person, his name is Mr. Gardiner. Now what happened to him? He became interested in staff-patient communication after an incident. So after an incident, he became interested. So what was the motivating factor? That is, what incident motivated him for him to become interested in this particular topic? So this is one question that we'll be discussing today, right? So these questions often include these type of words: why, after, because, as a result, what made, what led to. So if you come across these type of words, what led to, what made the speaker do this, okay, why they did so and so. So these questions are usually reason-based questions. Now, on our examination day, so when you are very, tired after doing listening part A, listening part B, and you're doing listening part C, and you're feeling a little bit anxious, you're feeling a little bit nervous, how should your brain work on the examination day? So on the examination day, first and foremost, you really have to comprehend the question carefully, because if you do not understand the uh, question stem, you don't have clarity on what the question is asking you, then it is going to be very tough. So you have to first and foremost prioritize the question, read the question carefully. Then, especially if you're dealing with a paper-based question paper, underline keywords such as why, after, and all that. So these shows it's about a reason. So you must very much interact with the question paper. Then comes your prediction. Okay, so once you have identified the question type, it is a very important that you bring in your prediction strategy. So you have to predict what you will hear. Now see, there will always be signal words. The OET will always give you signals right before they tell you the answer. Okay, so 99% of the cases, the OET will give you a small signal just before the answer comes or immediately after the answer comes in the audio. So those type of words are what we call as signal words. So you must predict these type of words. I became interested. Okay, what made me realize was, it all started after. Now see, they're all showing the reason why they did that one particular activity. Okay, and then listen for an event or an experience. So the reason is a specific moment or incident that inspired them or triggered them, right? So again, really depends upon the question over there. So again, you should have that prediction strategy. So once I show you the question, you will understand. So once you read the question, once you understand what the question type is, then you have to anticipate for these type of words coming from the audio. And again, you must avoid distractions. That OET is very cunning. The OET is very, very sharp. They are very smart. So you also must be very smart. You must be very clever, and you must be able to avoid the useless information. So the speakers over here, see, so this is the reason why you should have focus. So you should know, okay, I'm listening to a event that triggered interest. I'm listening to a reason. Okay, I'm listening to what inspired them. Okay, so if you have that clarity, you can basically avoid useless background information. So there will be a lot of useless information they'll be saying, not actually relevant to the answer. So you should be able to understand, okay, this is not important, and you must be able to avoid getting distracted. So focus. So you must have clear focus on what made them start or change something. That is the reason there. So if your focus is only on that, then more accuracy you will have when pinpointing the right answer. And again, there are other strategies as well, right? So for example, synonym recognition skills are very, very important. Elimination skills are very important. Keyword analyzing skills are very important. So there are all these things. So it is a combination of several skills and strategies working together. So that is one question that we'll be discussing today. So we'll be discussing one reason or motivation based question. Then we'll be discussing one main point or a viewpoint kind questions. So there is a key message that is being emphasized, okay, that is being stressed by the speaker over here. So these questions ask you what the speaker is trying to say overall about a topic. So as I told you, there is a key message, a very important message. It is one particular main message over there, and that message will be emphasized. Okay, that is the main message that they are trying to highlight. Okay, so here you are not looking for one small fact. You're not looking for one small fact over here, but you're looking for the main idea the speaker is trying to express. So for example, I'll show you some example questions. So if you come across these type of questions on your examination day, then you can say, okay, this is a main point type question. So for example, what point does the speaker make about typical hospital admission? Okay, so he is talking about hospital admission, but he is not talking about one small fact over here. He is talking about the main message about that topic. So you have to listen to the entire thing. You have to understand, okay, what information is being emphasized by this person, right? Now, what is the main message of the talk? What does the speaker suggest about teamwork in hospitals? So in hospitals, there is teamwork, and he's not saying one particular message over here, one key message. What is the suggestion about this particular thing? Right, like that. So on our examination day, okay, how should you approach these type of questions? First and foremost, comprehension. You really have to read the question. Step number one is that without understanding the question, if you do not have clarity on being able to understand the question, then everything is meaningless, everything is pointless. So read the question and the opinions as well, options as well, and understand what the main message is. Okay, ask yourself, and as I always tell, right, you must continuously communicate with yourself. You must have a constant engagement with yourself as well as the question paper. Why is this important? Why do I say that you have to ask yourself the right questions? Because that is how you keep yourself stimulated. Because if you allow yourself, if you allow your mind to go blank, it is a very dangerous situation in listening, because immediately self-doubt will come. Okay, your confidence levels will crash down, anxiety will rise, panic will set in, and what happens? You will not be able to think very clearly. Your judgment quality will decrease. So there's a lot of negative emotions that is waiting to enter your mind, and it is completely up to you to keep those negative emotions away, because you need focus and concentration. So the number one thing is to constantly engage with yourself, like ask yourself the right questions. So when you come across these type of questions, ask yourself, okay, what is my duty here? So my duty here is to identify the speaker's overall point, okay, or one key information that they're trying to say from that particular topic. And again, there are going to be some signals. Okay, so you have to like predict. Okay, you have to like predict over here. So you have to like predict some signal words. So again, from the patient's point of view, okay, this shows that again, so it really depends upon the question type. So some words will basically stress it, emphasis, right? So remember I told you, so for example, if you have a main message, so if I'm giving you a topic, and if you have a main message in the topic, will you say that topic very casually? No, right? You will not speak it very casually. What will you do? You will bring in some repetition. You'll bring in some emphasis. You will put more stress into that information, because it is not casual information. It is a very important information. So like that, you have to like predict, okay, over here, some, important information is going to come over here. Paying attention to contrast words. So this in yesterday's class I discussed, right? What are contrast words and all. So that also is quite important, especially in today's session. And focus on ideas and not on the details. Again, you must be able to ignore the useless information. This is extremely important, right? So there will be a lot of useless information being saying. You must not fall traps into those information. So once we do the two questions over here, it becomes easy. Okay, so what are we going to discuss today? We are going to discuss two question types, one reason-based question. Okay, so this is basically testing why something happened. Okay, so you have to listen. So what your brain should look for: cause, triggers, and experience. So common signal words. There are always going to be some signal words. So when it comes to reason-based question, these are the signal words: because, after, it led to, etc., etc. Okay, so I became interested after seeing. So it shows this is the reason why something happened. Then you can expect main point or viewpoint type questions. So what is this? What is this question testing you? This question over here is testing your ability to identify what the speaker's main message is. Okay, so what is the key information that they are trying to highlight? So here you have to listen to a conclusion. So again, that is a key. So we have a main, usually in the end we will talk the main message, right? So the conclusion, the summary, okay, all these things are very important in main point type questions. So common signal words, these are some common signal words like main point, overall, okay, however, and all. Again, depends upon the question from the, again, so it's a sample this thing. Okay, so we'll be sharing this document to you towards the